Hey there, I'm Dan, and I want to thank you guys for considering my vehicle today. It's a 1970 International Scout 800A. Love this truck. It's been a family vehicle for the last 5-6 years since I picked it up. We sold the 69. My wife was insistent she wanted another one with a top down, so we ended up picking this one up out of Tennessee. Love it and have had such a great time with it over the years. We drive it almost every month to do something. It's either out for groceries, and if it's sunny out, we're going to be in it, raise kids in it. We got married using this. It's just been a great truck for us, and I really, really love it. So I want to start by telling you a little bit about the vehicle itself. And I think where we want to start is actually the provenance, because the provenance on this vehicle is actually kind of unique. So let's take a look at that. So I mentioned that the provenance was really neat on this. It's actually an old military truck is what it is. And if you look here, what we have is the military record of receipt when they took the vehicle in. And it was marked as June 1970, International. And you can see it was taken in at Fort Rucker, Alabama. And it actually spent the majority of its life there. However, if you want to come across here real quick, you can see here that in 1984, it was then being shipped to Knoxville, Tennessee for the air wing up there. Along its route, let's see, we can see here that it took receipt in Dobbins Air Force Base here in Georgia about that same period of time, and then made its way ultimately to the Civil Air Patrol Headquarters Tennessee Wing in Knoxville, and the date on that is the 19th of 1984. I'm not going to unstaple anything, and you can see the cost and receipt of the purchase of this vehicle as well. So that's kind of neat. So as well as the provenance, let's also take a look at the top that came with this vehicle. So here's the top for the truck, which never goes on. Essentially, it's in pretty good shape. I mean, this is one of the best ones that I've seen, and I've seen a bunch of them. You can see there's some wear and tear, and there's a little bit of rust spots here and there, but nothing rusts through. What's interesting about this also, it has the slider back windows in it, both of which work really well. Over here you can see that I did put new rubber in it to match the seals and the new rubber that I put on the truck. Although it's only been on twice. The first time was when I took receipt of it, and the second one was when I actually had to move it around and it sat outside for a day. Other than that, what you're seeing on the inside here is you can see the insulation on top is actually starting to give way. That's the original insulation from back when it was delivered. And I believe the light in back was installed by the military somewhere at some point back in the 70s. So this top's actually in really good shape. We will be putting it on the vehicle later on, so at that point you'll be able to see it on the truck as well. So we will move on. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, the vehicle came to me painted. So it's a copper that is actually pretty close to one of the original colors that was used on Scouts. Exterior wise, I've done very little to this other than find an emblem to get plugged in there. I've added some vinyl stripes. These can be pulled off. This is just wrapped vinyl. Added some insets in the back as well. And the exterior is pretty much as I received it. So this is actually, if you want to come around here a little bit, this body was completely solid. The guys in the motor pool did a heck of a job on this thing. You're going to see that in a couple of different places. The first one is when you see the underneath shots. They shot so much undercoating on this truck, there was no way it was ever going to rust. And on top of that, when I went through with using a magnet early on, I could tell there was nothing in it either. And proof is really right here. If you can catch the light properly, you can still see the ripples where the welds are put in on these doors. Because remember, this is an International Harvester. These were utility trucks. They didn't go and putty anything or do anything fancy with these. You can see where the weld seams were put in on these doors, so they're still original as well and look great. Now, I will also mention that this is not a show truck. It may look great from where you are, but it's a 10-foot show truck. And what I mean by that is, from 10 feet away, this is a spectacular looking truck, and it looks amazing, and people always comment, it really does look good. But I'm not going to lie to you, this thing has been used. We've used the heck out of it. It came to us pretty well used from another family. and you're going to see chips in it, and you're going to see scratches on it, and you're going to see pocks in the paint, and you know, you'll see, like I said, a vehicle that's been gotten in and out of. My kids would climb on the tire and jump over and do things like that, and while there's no damage to it, it's never been in an accident that I'm aware of. It does have wear and tear on it, so it's not a show truck. This is definitely a driving truck and something you'd use all the time, or what I'd consider an honest truck. So starting with this, I think what we'll move to first is we're going to take a look at the engine bay and start talking about some of the things I've done with this vehicle over the 5-6 years that I've owned it.